All right, and we are live. All right, let's wait for a few people to, tap in here and get in here, and then
And
we'll
put
be
you
ready
to
to
the
roll.
left since this is your show. I'll
No,
give you
I
the
appreciate
host
that.
spot.
Yeah, so you were right about the Facebook, by the way. It didn't let me, but we're live on the YouTube, and so we'll let a little people, see who comes in here, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, there's not a ton of subscribers on there, so
Yeah,
we'll see if they pick up on it. If not, they'll definitely go back and watch it.
yeah.
But
We'll give it to the 1 minute mark, and then we'll see how it goes. And then once that hits that, I'll just do kind of the introduction of like what this is. Then I can edit this stuff out later, just us talking right now.
oh yeah.
But it's pretty much just us just talking ball like we normally do, except we're just filming it. So I'm gonna go ahead and into it.
Hey,
All right.
I'm all for talking some ball.
Oh yeah. All right. So welcome in. This is the episode 2 of the Auburn versus All Y'all podcast. It's a little different this time. Last episode was just me. Now we got my boy Travis Parks in here. What's up, man?
What up?
All right. So we gotta talk about it. Auburn drops their game to Florida. What are your initial thoughts?
I mean, obviously you never want to lose. It sucks. It sucks to lose. You're not you're not happy, but it was bound to happen at some point, and
Yeah.
probably a good thing to get a wake up call at some point in the season. Like Nick
Yeah.
Saban famously said, the rat poison, and there's probably plenty of that. So, with this team
Yeah.
and how everything's gone so well this season, I said earlier, a little adversity never hurt anybody, and I mean it's the truth. It's
Yeah.
you saw it's because we took this loss to Florida today, and you saw the same thing happen with Florida last week. They went on the road and got their doors blown off by Tennessee, and that's kind of a wake up call for that team. And they came on the road and responded very well today
Yeah.
against Auburn. And it's the same kind of thing that could potentially in the long run be a good thing for this Auburn team going into Bama next week. That that they got knocked down, and I'm sure they're going to have a tough week of practice ahead and 2 road games next week coming up. And so with everything going so well, and you take a loss like this at home and got 2 road games coming up, it's definitely a good spot for this team to respond from this. So I mean, we'll get into the game more, but it's not the worst thing.
No. And like you said, I think we all I feel like the consensus opinion as an Auburn fan base is that we knew they were going to drop an SEC game. I think the part that's surprising about it is that it was today because it was a home game. We all felt though that we were going to drop a game, but it was going to be one on the road.
Yeah.
When we went to Georgia, I thought, okay, we're probably going to lose here. When we went to Ole Miss, all right, we're going to drop this one. Even when we went to LSU, and LSU, they're not some great team, but I was like, they're not going to undefeated in conference play. It's impossible in the SEC with how deep this conference is. But yet, they did drop one today. I just didn't think it would be at home versus Florida because I remember last night we were talking about it, what our confidence levels were. And we both said we were in that 7 to 8 range that, we'd win this game. We weren't sure about the cover, but we were confident, yeah, we'll probably handle business at home. Because that's all we've seen all year is that at home and even on the road, anytime a team has, made a run, Auburn's always responded with a big shot or a big play on defense to kind of stop the bleeding almost and stop any runs these teams would have.
Yeah, I mean, they just got caught sleeping today, straight up. They didn't play a good game. They got out physical. Florida was dominant on the boards. They did a great, even though we scored 81 points, they did a great job defending throughout that game. I think we shot somewhere in the 30% range. Was not an efficient game at all. And some of the defensive possessions we had late too, I mean, I texted you the one where Chaney was defending the inbound and fouled as soon as the ball got inbounded. We kind of the game, we had a good start and the game got away from us, and the team just kind of self-destructed. And it was just the kind of thing Florida came into this game, they were ready to go, and like tip your hat to them. They played a great game, and I don't know what. Like I said, it's not the end of the world. that this happened, that you get a wake up call at this point in the season, especially when you're going for 2 on the road next week.
Yeah, like I still feel the same way about this Auburn team I did beforehand, even with the loss. Like, I still think they're a true threat to go and win the national championship. And just because we lose one game to a very good Florida team doesn't change my opinion on that. But the reason we did lose tonight is just it. I'm not sure. I don't have the numbers in front of me. And I was watching the game sparingly because I was at work tonight or today. It just feels like we got out rebounded. Like we may have not got out rebounded like statistic wise, but it always seems like when we needed to get a big board defensively, Florida would always either tap it out, get another chance like at another possession, and just kept on doing that all game. I think that's the first reason we lost is they out rebounded us in big moments, and secondly, Clayton Jr. had a great game. Like
I mean they shot lights out. Like they're I said, you just got to tip your cap when a team shoots like that. They shot over 60% in the game. Like they were knocking everything down, and we were just sloppy. Like they came into this game ready to play. They were knocking everything down. Their effort was a lot higher than ours. It seemed like like I said, we just got caught sleeping. Like we got out to a good start, and then they were just knocking everything down. They were crashing the glass. Like, I mean, there was the one when we were trying to close the gap in the second half and make it closer, and they throw a full court inbound pass right to the bucket. It's like Florida, that they had, like I said, they had a tough loss last week, and they came out today and responded for this one. Like that's going to happen. It's college basketball. It's you play 18 games in the conference, and you're bound to just get caught sleeping in one of these spots. And Florida came ready to play, and you just got to give credit to them. And they came out and they killed it, man. They were awesome on defense. Like, just not. It just wasn't our day. Janai didn't have his best game. The shots weren't falling.
Yeah,
and the defense was lackadaisical. The rebounding, like you said, is definitely a concern. But they'll regroup, and I'm sure. I'm like I said, I'm sure they're going to have a tough week of practice this week. Bruce was not happy after the game. In his press conference. So.
Yeah, they're definitely going to have to turn it around and turn it around fast because on Tuesday they go to Vanderbilt, which is not going to be an easy game by any means.
No.
And then on Saturday,
we've seen some weird endings there already this year.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. Then on Saturday they go to Alabama. How they respond to this game and the next 2 games we play, both on the road, is going to determine how we can finish the regular season, how we end things. Can we keep the SEC regular season? Can we lock it down? Can we respond here and really shut it down? I think we're still in a good spot. I think we're still going to win the SEC regular season. However, the loss tonight means that we have to be perfect going forward.
Yeah, I mean, in Florida, just they played at they played at their pace and their style, and they controlled this thing pretty much from late in the first half when they went on that run, and the whole second half. They had their way, and they were doing a great job defending us and getting us late in the shot clock and a lot of those possessions defensively, and we just weren't getting good looks. So
I wish I could sit here and be mad about the Auburn game today, but I just can't. It's just one of those games where you're all right, the other team was just better than us today. It's not even the officiating was that bad or anything, or
no.
It's there was no officiating calls where I was okay, they're kind of screwing Auburn here. Florida just beat us today. Florida was the better team today, and just props to them 100%. Todd Golden is such a good coach. He is so good. He's a Bruce Pearl disciple, so he learned a lot of his coaching skills from Bruce. I don't know who's going to be – just trying to go into this for a second on this tangent. We were talking about this a little bit earlier ago. The whole debate where you text me saying, hey, did you hear where Dan said that Steven was going to be the next coach? And is that speculation or a fact? Which I don't know. Stephen Pearl very well could be the next coach at Auburn. But
to pick, like he said, like pretty definitively, he was like Stephen Pearl, the coach in waiting at Auburn. That was like the
I
exact
mean,
comment that
yeah,
had me
it,
saying
it
that.
it feels that way certainly, and I don't think Steven would necessarily be a bad hire or anything because he's been training under Bruce all these years. Like he's learning. So I'm not going to be like, if Steven is the coach in waiting for us when Bruce decides to retire, I'm not going to be mad or cry about it, right? But if we decide to go to outside hire, right, which I highly doubt they do, I hope Todd Golden is one of the first calls we make whenever Bruce is set to retire.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think. I mean, I think Florida and Auburn are pretty even as jobs at this point. I don't think
Yeah.
Auburn's like a better job than Florida, and plus, like especially now with the accusations and what Golden went through this year, and the fact that administration had his back through all of that, you have to imagine he's going to be pretty loyal to them for that. So, like,
Certainly
I
he
don't
would
see
be.
us.
I absolutely see what you're saying about him being loyal to them to a fault because they had his back in a very tough spot. Not to go too much into that, but if you follow college basketball, you know what that story was to not go into that because it was just a whole mess. And it seems
Title
like
IX investigation.
like it seems like with what's happened, they cleared him, didn't they? They said like he had no
Yeah.
wrongdoings, correct?
Well, and those Title IX investigations, for further context on that, are not supposed to be publicized.
Yeah,
And basically, the student newspaper there got a hold of the story
it was the
and leaked
Swamp
it out
News,
that it was
wasn't it? Or something
happening.
like that.
What'd you say?
It was some news site called like the Swamp or something. I can't remember the actual
Yeah,
site.
it was a student newspaper
Oh, okay.
there. Yeah,
So
and go ahead.
yeah, so I mean, I understand what your point about how they definitely had his back in that spot, but also you got to think him and Bruce go way back. Bruce gave him his real first chance to be on a staff. I'm pretty sure. So like, if Bruce wants to set Auburn up for success after himself, and it's not Steven for some reason, which I highly doubt it won't be Steven, then I think Todd Golden would be a guy who could be, a fit there because he has that relationship with Bruce. And like Bruce would want him to be the guy after him if it's not Steven. But this whole debate is probably like a mute point because it's probably going to be Steven. We all can see that. Like
It's
that's
also probably 5 years away. So,
I think
like,
I mean his contract, I think he has 7 years left on his contract from where it runs through. So, like, this will be something that's talked about, years down the road, but it's still a fascinating conversation. Like, okay, who's going to be the guy after Bruce? Which I don't know. It's an interesting debate because I see an argument for both sides.
yeah, definitely. But I mean, yeah, Golden, obviously he's like, they have in a hell of a program there. Like,
Yeah,
they're having an awesome year. And I mean,
exactly.
for them to come out and have this performance at Auburn, it's a statement. And I mean, every time
Insane.
Florida plays Auburn, like, we get their best shot a lot. I mean, they knocked us off the Jabari year when we were #1 and we went down there to Gainesville and got beat. The Okoro year, like, we were having a good year and went down to Gainesville and got beat. This is the first time that even a couple years ago, I remember when we played our first home game against them. That was 22-23, and they played us tough, and we played them in the SEC championship game last year, and they kept that close for a half, but
Yeah.
we were able to pull away in that one. But obviously, like Todd Golden knows what Bruce likes to do, and like he's going to take advantage of that when they play. And you just saw that in this matchup today. Like they were stopping us from getting the ball inside. We weren't getting any good looks. They were crashing the glass, and it was really just like they. I don't know what the terminology is, I guess, but they just out efforted us in this game. Like
Yeah. I mean,
they came, like, they had a tough loss last week, and they came out and responded and wanted to make a statement today, and they deserve all the credit for it.
yeah, I don't know what the terminology that would be like out physical. That's probably the term that we were looking for is just, it seems like today, like, and this rarely happens with a Bruce Pearl coach team is that we got out hustled today. Like hustle
Yeah,
is not a stat, but it's something you can definitely tell like on the court. Like, okay, this guy's playing harder than this guy right now. And you can see that like the way they were, Florida was clapping at their bench, like their bench didn't hyped up. Like that's normally how Auburn like that's normally what Auburn does to other teams. And then today it was the opposite. Like Florida had that kind of swagger they were playing with that Auburn usually does against these other teams.
And we were rattled. We shot ourselves in the
Yeah.
foot a lot. Like there were a lot. Like there was the foul that Cardwell had before the half,
Yeah.
where they
That was bad.
inbounded it and he like reached around from like behind the guy and
Yeah.
like hit him in the face. Like there was the foul Janai had that probably should have been a flagrant that they didn't call it flagrant against us.
Where he
Thankfully,
reached like at half court.
yeah, that was just
Yeah.
like, and then I mentioned the inbound with Cheney. It's like, they definitely they came out and gave us their best shot, and like they had us rattled in this game, and we were playing like out of our heads, and not the same team we've seen all year, and they deserve credit for that. They had a great game plan. They weren't getting great looks. They were neutralizing Janai a lot, and we were trying to make things work from the perimeter, and they were just doing a great job stopping the ball and not letting us get any great looks. And we had a lot of possessions that got down low in the shot clock, and we just never got those shots. And then when we started pressing, they just like the defense just kind of went crazy when we started in there. And we like mentioned the fouls too. It's like, usually there's a lot of fouls, and fans will come out and be like, "Oh, like they called all these fouls." You're stupid. Like the fouls in this game, like they were fouls. Like we were fouling them, and also like I don't have the stats in front of me, but the fouls were pretty even, and we missed a ton of free throws too, and that was just like that goes along with what I said. Like we shot
Yeah.
ourselves in the foot a lot. We were terrible from the free throw line in this game.
Yeah, see, I got the number in front of me. Florida had 19 personal fouls. Auburn had 16. So very
Yeah.
similar. And then, like, you looked at free throw percentage, though. Florida went 15 of 18. Auburn went 14 of 23. That's the story of the game right there. Florida made their free throws. Auburn did not this game.
I'm sure you got I mean, if you got the stats, the rebounding numbers, like I know we got out rebounded.
Okay, so actually, we out rebounded Florida by 3.
We must have taken that in garbage time, because I remember I was looking like
I
during the
guess.
game while it was going on, and they were ahead of us. I mean, I guess maybe we got some boards during garbage time to put that over, but like they were beating us on the glass throughout the game.
Yeah, like I said earlier, no matter what the stats say, we got beat on the boards. That's 100% what happened today. I mean,
And we got a lot of guys in foul trouble too, which like didn't help on the glass too. Like I know Cardwell was in foul trouble. I think Broom had 2 early because he sat
Yeah.
for a chunk of the first half. Like just like a lot of self-inflicted wounds from this game, and like I said, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because sometimes you need those moments as a team to wake up. And with 2 road games coming next week, to have this happen, it's like I said, not the worst thing in the world.
I mean, to kind of look at it from like a glass half full perspective, this team is still 21-2 and 9-1 in conference play.
Yeah,
Like it could certainly be much worse.
we still have, I believe, 4 or 5 more quad 1 wins than any team in the nation too. So as far as like seeding come March, like it would take an absolute like nuclear meltdown for this team to not get a 1 seed, and like we still have the inside track to not just a 1 seed, but the number one overall seed, which is obviously going to be huge. And we have such a big gap like over these other teams. Like I said in the group chat earlier when I was talking to you and Matt and Jacob, like I liken it to we're a golfer on the back 9 and we have a 5-stroke lead and we just bogeyed a hole.
Yeah.
It's like it sucks.
I mean,
like you don't want to compound that, but you still have a big lead. So
I mean, right now, like Duke's down to Clemson with 14 seconds to go.
yeah, I got it up here, and then Bama's at 3, and they got a roadie at Arkansas tonight, so we'll see how that goes for them.
Bama's up at the moment. Bama's up 7, 25-18.
I didn't realize that tipped already.
Yeah, that tipped already. So I mean, Clemson's up right now, and then obviously Duke's on a foul here, and like if Clemson just make their free throws, that's probably a game.
Yeah, if they make both of these, it's a 2-possession game. Like that's like bless you, and there's still like a realistic scenario where like if Duke loses this game, we should still be ranked number 1 next week. There's no telling what the AP voters are going to do. Like if Alabama wins tonight, like there's no rhyme or reason to like how the AP voters vote in the polls. So like it's a lot of times it's hot hand. Okay, well this team lost. this week and this team won this week. So we're putting this like it's not like a really like there's no formula to it. So like there's a scenario if Bama wins tonight, they could rank Bama number one, but there's also like we're not going to drop any further than 2, especially if Duke goes down here. So
I would be shocked if like Duke does lose here. If we drop further than 2, like you said, if we drop like to 3, I would seriously have a major issue with the AP voters. I'd be like, are we watching the same team? Like, sure, we dropped the game to Florida, but this is still the team that's been the unanimous number 1 team in the AP rankings. They were 21-1 before this. They have 2 losses on the year, one of them being at Duke, and then a bad loss. Well, not even really a bad loss, because Florida's the number 6 team in the nation, and they're going to go up after this as well.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
So is that really like a quote-unquote bad loss? Like Auburn didn't play well. Florida beat us. Props to Florida. I'm not making excuses for Auburn here. I'm just saying that if we drop anywhere further than 2, then I don't know what we're like. I don't think we're watching the same game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and another point I wanted to bring up to you is because I mean we saw it last year with the Kentucky game, and we saw it again this year. It's like when we have these insanely hype matchups with the students camping all week and stuff. Like, is there like it? Does it hurt Auburn in a way where it's like there's so much energy around the game, and the players are feeling that pressure. They're out there hanging out with the students, and the
Yeah.
students like they bring the noise, and that's why like we have such a good home court advantage. And if they're out intense, like drinking and hanging out all week, is that like you have to imagine like their energy. I mean, you've done it, so you would know too. Like the energy meter
Yeah.
is just lower when you get in there in the game, and it's like is that almost and it's like there's no real solution to like not do it, but it's almost like a negative when you have like that much hype around the game and the camping and that like the energy, like it can backfire on you. We saw it with Kentucky last year, like I said, and you saw it in this one.
I mean, it's certainly an interesting discussion to have because last year where we got blown out by Kentucky after the students camped out for like 2 or 3 days. And then today where students started camping out Wednesday night for preparation for this game on Saturday. And then you see the players go and, go out there and play, cards with some of the guys out there, And I don't think passing out the food is a problem. Let me be very clear. Passing out the food stuff, that's not my issue. I don't really have an issue with any of this. I'm just talking about this for like pure like debate sake, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm not saying it's an issue, but it's like it like the players kind of psych themselves out almost because of all the energy around it.
It's weird how there is a correlation there, and that's a good point, Travis. I didn't even think about that. It's like last year versus Kentucky, we camped out for College game day, and we did get blown out. And then today, we camp out for number 6 Florida, and we didn't get blown out, but we got manhandled.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting like discussion to see, like, and I'm sure people view that differently. Like, I'm sure some people think no, there's no correlation, and others might because like if it happened once, it's probably a coincidence. But the fact that it's happened back-to-back years, there might be something to that. Like there might actually be something about like I don't know. It could put a lot of pressure on the guys. Like man, they've been out here 4 days camping. Like we're gonna naturally play a little bit tighter because we don't want to play bad.
Yeah, and there's just like so much energy. It's the biggest game in the nation, and it's like the guys just get like juiced up and almost like too juiced up, and then they come out like jittery because they feel like so much pressure to win the game.
I mean, because you look like we started off hot, like extremely hot, and then just it kind of fizzled out almost. Like when the game started, Auburn was up. The most they were up at one point was 9 points when they were up 14 to 5, and then Florida just slowly started creeping back ever so slightly, and then really it was back and forth all game until Florida really kind of pulled away at the end there.
Oh my God! By the way, dude, like side note from the like I had Green Bay minus or Purdue Fort Wayne minus 15.5 against Green Bay, and Green Bay just made like a meaningless bucket to go down 15, and Purdue Fort Wayne dribbled it out.
Not a great day.
tough one. Sorry, go ahead. Like to your point, I was just watching this. I was like, come on. Like,
I mean, not to get you started too much, because this isn't one shining recap, and I want to save this for tomorrow because I'm sure you'll have a lot to say about Oregon. But yeah, it's been a rough day for you.
Yeah, I mean, I got Clemson at least, so
that is true. You did it, Clemson. So let's see. I mean,
but yeah, we were talking about the camping stuff and all that. Like, it's like there's certainly like I think something there to where it's just like, and it's not like a bad thing. Like, it's obviously great that your program is in the position to do that, but it's just like it gets to the point where like it can definitely psych the players out and like, and also like I said, it's like you have to think, and like you as a student who's done it, it's like, does it hurt the environment with the students because they're all just so drained after a week?
Because I wasn't at the game, but I was watching on my phone, and like it was still very loud sounding, right? Like, you know, they had the crowd pops, and when Auburn was on defense, they were loud at points, like when they needed to be, or throughout the whole game, really, for most of it. But I will say this. Last year when I went inside the arena, when they let us in for College Game Day, during the breaks, there were kids who were like laying on the benches sleeping. So they were absolutely exhausted for sure, because you're not sleeping much when you're out there. Like, you're with your friends, you don't want to sleep, like you're going to get FOMO. Like, so there's certainly something to that with like the student body, like being like not at 100% capacity and energy like they normally would. That there could be something to that. There could be.
Yeah, it's just something to think about. Like, it's not a measurable like stat there, but you have to almost think like, in a way, it's like this great thing is kind of like hurting us in these situations.
I mean, I don't know, because it is curious that the last two, like I've said, we have lost when we've camped out for big games. Like that's just a fact. You can't argue that. We have lost. I think going forward, just an idea, right, is that maybe the players shouldn't be out there the night before, you know?
Yeah.
Like, maybe they should just go out and do their thing. And I'm not saying they should go home and just be locked up in the house, but like, maybe they should like maybe not go out there, because maybe it puts a little bit of pressure on them. And like, if we know that going forward, like, and you have these other guys who are like your age and like your peers, other college kids, and you're like, man, they're out here for me just to see a win. They've been here for Wednesday. I can't lose today. So then you're going to play a little bit tighter and not play your game.
And it's going to juice your opponent up more too, to want to come in there and play spoiler for that. So.
Yeah, it's like, if in your mindset, like if you're a competitor, it's like, all right, these guys have been out here since Wednesday wanting to watch us lose. Let's make sure that doesn't happen. Like, if anybody, if you have any bit of competitive juice in you, which I'm sure the guys on Florida basketball do, because you don't get to this level of basketball without being like kind of having that mentality. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
So I think there's definitely something to that, is that it was like just a perfect storm spot for them. Like, and props to Florida. Clayton Jr. played out of his mind. Someone else on that roster had a really good game as well. I was trying to think of his name. I had it up here a second ago.
Yeah, they were all shooting the cover off the ball.
Condon had a great game. He had a phenomenal game tonight. He had 17 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists. He went and then Clayton Jr., his shooting was ridiculous tonight. Like, when he was shooting the ball from like deep, it didn't even let it hit the rim. Like, or even the net. It just went straight on. It looked like Steph Curry was shooting the ball. It was like, just like you said earlier, when a guy's on like that, you just tip your hat and move on. Because it's not like we're playing bad defense on him. Like, we had defenders in his face, and he still just was knocking them down. And props to him, but I'll say this, because I am competitive as well about this stuff. I hope we see Florida again. I hope we either catch them in the SEC tournament or the NCAA tournament. Like, I want to see this team again. Like,
I will say there's a very good chance we will. So
for sure, like I don't think Auburn played their best game tonight, obviously, and I think Florida probably did play their best game, and then we only lost by 9.
yeah,
Like that's not a huge margin of error. Like if Auburn makes a few more free throws, this game is very close.
yeah. But hopefully, like we can just bottle this up and take it on the road next week and go get 2 big wins to kind of avenge this. Like the Vandy one's a sleepy spot because we've seen some weird games there. They got another win there today. Like that's a tough place to play, so that's not a gimme by any means. They got a legit team, and then obviously the Bama one with game day there next weekend and everything. That's going to be
a
the
big one.
Game of the year. Like,
I'm going to be honest, dude. I really want to go to that one. Like with game day being there, that I'm considering it. Like that's going to be such a good game.
I will not be in attendance. I'll be down in Daytona anyway, but I'm not going to Tuscaloosa.
Man, it's going to be such a good game. I might see if any of my buddies are going. It's going to be such a good game.
It will be a good game. For
But,
sure, I'll be down there watching. I'll be watching it for sure. But yeah, you will not catch me dead at a Alabama athletic event.
that's probably fair, but yeah, I think that's a good pod. If you got anything else you want to add,
no, nothing I can think of. Just like don't overreact. We'll be fine. Like I'm sure the takes will be crazy, but yeah, we definitely and. We didn't really mention the SEC regular season stuff. That I think you touched on it for a second earlier, but yeah, it's like definitely get it, especially if Bama wins this one, and then they go to Texas Tuesday, assuming like I'll just say if they win this one, and then if they win at Texas Tuesday and we win at Vanderbilt, then we go to Bama next weekend and they beat us, they'll tie us in the SEC regular season standing. So that's going to be a huge one to really get a grip on the regular season title if we want to bring that home. So it's going to be a big game next weekend. Like I said, I think after this loss today, the guys are going to be really dialed in and focused for that one, and not to overlook Vanderbilt too, because that's by no means a gimme.
That's another one you got to take serious. But before we go, you want to give out any shout outs, follow anybody, any promotions or anything?
Yeah, you follow. I got it on here. Travis Parks 24. Follow Sectator Media here on YouTube where we're streaming this. If you're listening, anybody who listens after the fact, subscribe on there. And One Shining Recap Show, which you're a part of. Jacob's part of. Matt's part of. Same brand here, but that's kind of our more national college basketball show. And then this one's more Auburn centric.
It's more Auburn centered, yeah. But
yeah, definitely tune in. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course, man. Thanks for joining me in such short notice. But yeah,
absolutely.
I appreciate all y'all who's tuned in. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I appreciate you now. Go ahead and click that subscribe button for me. That would mean a lot. It costs you nothing. Turn on that notification bell. That'd be huge. Go to my Spotify as well. Just Auburn versus All Y'all podcast. I download all the episodes on there, put it on there. If you're driving down the road and you're wondering what to listen to and you need a chance to watch the game, here you go. Here's a recap of the Florida game if you're wondering what went down between 2 guys who watched the game. And then also go follow the Twitter if you don't mind. It's just at Auburn versus All Y'all. That's the podcast Twitter name. And then if you don't mind, just go following my page, which is just at William L821. And that's all I got to say for y'all. So just, like, subscribe. If you liked it, share. If you liked it, leave a comment and go follow Sectator. And he didn't bring it up, but go follow his NASCAR account, at Left Turn Colt. They do a lot of good stuff over there if NASCAR is your type of thing. So, yeah, just go help out the guys and just, help us grow our brand, guys. We appreciate it.
If you don't like it, leave a comment, too. All publicity is good publicity.
Yeah, if you liked it, tell us you didn't like it. That's okay, too. Tell us how we can do better. So, we're all.
If you're a Bama fan, go ahead and comment. I'll have it out with you.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit. We'll have a talk getting ready for Saturday. All right,
man.
I think those are good.